Can I just share some stories with you today? Would that be all right? In May this year, we went to Borrowdale. Borrowdale's in Arnhem Land, and we went with Rowdy McLean and Darren Hill. 8 of us, 2 of them. And we explored a land and a community that's 50,000 years old. We were a company in the size of its 20s, and we're now 80, and by the end of the year, we're about 100. This pie in the sky stuff is real for us. Every week, new people arrive. So I thought I might share some of the things we've learnt. In Borrowdale, I learnt laying in caves that generations come and share their stories and leave them. No matter which company you're in today or which team you belong to, it's our responsibility to tell the story of those who have come before us to those who will come after us. One way we do this is by welcoming those new people, and for Randall and I or the team leaders to find them and share a story of how we began. Because people are desperate to connect, and there's a saying in the Bible, without a vision the people perish. So we make room to do that. This time next week, I'll be in Disneyland. It'll be my 4th visit since 2010. Randall and I will be there with our 4 children, and we'll go to one place. We'll go to the main entrance, and we'll stand and we'll look down Main Street, Disneyland. And ahead of us will be an enormous castle, and there'll be characters and families, and I just stand there and hold my children. Because what fascinates me every time we go there is that Walt Disney dreamed of this. This was his dream, this moment. Me and my children are his dream standing there. But he died in 1966. And I've thought a lot about what's the power of asking someone to share your dream. And in constructing any team and moving forward, there has to be a point where you each ask the new people to join you and share the dream. You have to know what you exist to do. Whether you're grassroots IT and you're the reason that small businesses can survive. Whether you're Q Super and you're all about the future and possibility for families after retirement and making sure there's something to look forward to. Whether you're City Beach and you're those moments in the sun in your youth where you spend time and you form who you are. Every one of our teams needs to understand exactly who we are and what we stand for. And so there has to be a point at which we each take responsibility for sharing that. Last year, some of you might remember that I was here and I shared a story about learning to ride a bicycle in Thailand with Peter Baines. On that ride, I rode with May through, and you would have heard and seen the photos of her today. We reached a point that we had a rest break, and we were sitting at a 7-Eleven, and Maythu was sitting in the gutter, and I went and sat with her. And she's contemplative and extraordinary. And I asked her, "Are you all right?" And she said to me that what she worries about of those 100 or so children that are now her family is that when she passes, will we love her children? I took out my phone and I found the photos and I showed her one by one my children, Declan, Ellie, Amelia and Will. And I said to her, me and mine will love you and yours. Mayfield is never ever afraid to share her fear, because whilst Walt shared the dream and the beauty of it, in reality, the beauty of it comes with risk. If you're not prepared to speak to it, you won't ever guard against it. 2 weeks ago today, I got off the plane from Bangkok, having spent a week with Peter Baines and his fiancée, Claire Thomas, who put together an extraordinary social venture project. If you aren't taking your team on that, you're mad. It's my curls, sorry. Wild women, curly hair. My husband just gave me the thumbs up. We're not going there. So I spent the week in Thailand, and we arrived at Yosaton and a double-decker bus. And those that know me well know that I rarely ask for anything. I'm not very good at it. It's a weakness, it's not a strength. And I stood up as we pulled into Bunholm Hug. It's Mayfield's orphanage. And Pete Baines was standing at the top of this double-decker bus near the stairs. But I had the biggest, most ridiculous grin on my face, and there was no way I was letting him off that bus first. I just needed to get to Home Hug. I was there last year and I needed to be back and to see Mayfield. And Pete, because he is an extraordinarily generous man, let me go first. And I bounded off the bus and I saw about from here to nearly the end of the room away, Mayfield standing there, now in her monk robes, serene. And I got off the bus and I was like this kid that had seen Christmas. And Mayfield did this. And then she went, "It's you!" And I went, "It's me." And I raced to her and we hugged for longer than was socially appropriate. And she whispered in my ear, "I have missed you so much." And I whispered back, "And I have missed you too. I will return again. Your people will do what you ask if you are prepared to share the dream and the beauty of it, as well as the fears. And you have to have a part of your rituals, that you are free to share and express both. I can share a range of activities that you can schedule as rituals. In reality, nothing will matter more than the story and the privilege of being asked to connect and be a part of something. How could I not? When she asked me, who will love my children? How could the answer be anything but me and mine will? You have to know each other. Every week, for almost since May, we have welcomed new team members. My husband's messed with them. They've walked in the door and they've asked who he was, and at times he's told them he was the work experience boy. They've believed him. Their probation was extended. But here's the thing I've learnt about rituals. We allow time for every team member to meet their other counterparts across it. Whether they are in the Philippines, in the States or in Australia, across 80 we allow room. Because everybody has a story that they need to be told for themselves, and they have to be known. When we were in Bangkok last week, or 3 weeks ago, as Pete said, we went to the slums of Klong Tui. The slums of Klong Tui are a 1 kilometre by 1 kilometre square block with 100,000 people in it. They said that they wanted to pull down a shanty 2 metres by 3 metres, half the size of my kid's bedroom. We went in. The father is in his 70s. The woman that you saw in the photo, she was in her 60s. She'd be lucky to be 40 kilos of nothing. She lay naked under a sheet. Her son was in his 40s with a curvature of the spine. They needed help. They asked if we would carry her out a few metres up around the corner to a place they'd hired. They asked if I would help them. I walked into that shanty and I saw this extraordinarily frail woman on this mattress. And my Thai really consists of one word, Sawati Cup, and her English was similarly awful. She was broken, but so whole. And I knelt down beside her and I thought, I can't carry you without knowing you, and I don't believe it's appropriate for you to experience that without knowing me. And the only thing I could think to do was to kneel at her side and hold her hand. We held hands and I was conscious that there were others around me waiting, but I needed to hold her hand and to let her know I knew who she was. She held my hand until she squeezed it, and together then we rose and we carried her out. I couldn't get it out of my head that how do we do this with our team members? How do we create rituals and spaces that we know them? We are not responsible for each other, but we certainly are responsible to each other. We do something simple. Once a month, we celebrate people that have contributed and honoured the values of our company. And this company of people can do the same. We can create opportunities to give and to receive. Every year in December, we play a game called Angels and Mortals, where for the month of December, you are an angel to another colleague, and you distribute 3 secret blessings. It's a ritual, it's a tradition, and it means that they have an opportunity again to get to know each other. We celebrate the end of every financial year and bring the families together and we honour them for what they've done. A tradition, a mark on the land, a mark on the spirit and minds of those who have worked with us, mindful that those that have been with us before we are honouring, and those that are to come will hear this story, and they do. We have to know it ourselves. In designing any rituals, any marks on the land and on our hearts and souls, we have to have an opportunity to know ourselves. I have read a number of business books on creating culture. Randall and I, we make a point of travelling to faraway places to see them. I've been to Zappos and I've sat in there. I've taken the extra bit of the tour so I could ask questions. We've been to the Disney Institute, and make no mistake, it is cool to graduate with ears. If only we could get them ourselves. We have travelled, we've gone to grocers, we've gone all sorts of places. But we have to know what that means for ourselves. We have to bring it back and construct it. And here's the thing, we're going to encounter difficult times. Growth in any team is a difficult, challenging time. But there will be other hard times. My favourite author really is Glennon Doyle Melton. She wrote a book called Carry On Warrior. She's mad and insane and wonderful, and everything makes you laugh out loud, cry and wonder what it can be. She has a simple saying, which is why I really like her. It's, we can do hard things. I'm mindful today that for all of the fantasy of this pie in the sky, in this crowd, in this room, sits the people from McDonald's who have experienced such a trauma in their team. So we have people that represent 5 McDonald's stores from the Gold Coast, and yesterday you would have only had to watch the news to know that that company experienced a significantly hard thing. The hard opportunities are the opportunities where there are marks on the land and marks on your minds and souls. They also can be some of the times where you come out the strongest and you learn the most about yourselves. In Thailand 2 weeks ago, May, Theo had a number of projects. Pete alluded to the pig one. Constructing a pigsty is one thing. They came and they said, we need some strong people. And I thought, I'm strong, I can do that. So I went over and looked at them. What do you need done? Well, we need this tank, this water tank, a couple of 1,000 litres. We need it over the fence to the field below. Great, I can do that. And then we need you to dig a hole for it. By hole, do you mean a pad for that tank to sit on? No, we need a hole. By hole, do you mean halfway down and then we backfill? Because even though I was a lawyer, I think I could have been an engineer, and the word backfill comes to mind. No, we mean a hole. How far would this hole be? We mean the whole thing needs to be underground. Okay. And what would we do that with? Well, we've got this broken shovel, we've got another shovel, 2 hose of the implement. We have our first teenager in the house, and there's conversations coming home that I'm going, shit, what's that about? And some buckets with broken handles. 4 Australian women climbed over the fence, not me because I'm uncoordinated, which we established last year in the bike ride, remember? And we walked around and we started to dig. We dug a hole that was so deep and so wide that 4 of us could be in there simultaneously and keep digging. We dug a hole that was so deep that we couldn't climb out of it without climbing up on a bucket and hands pulling us out. A 5th came. Can I just say, we started that hole as strangers, really. It reached a point that I was convinced it was deep enough. And I convinced the rest of the troops that we should lift that sucker over the fence and drop it into our hole, which we did. At that point, the Romug came along and there's lots of conversation in Thai, and then they went, no. By no, do you mean we can backfill that last bit? No, we mean you have to get it out and keep digging. We got it out, we got in, and we dug some more. And when it was deep enough and that tank went in that hole, there was a cry that went up that everybody could hear. Pigsty, chicken people, didn't matter what you were doing, you knew that that hole had been dug. And I thought about it and thought, we run around creating all these rituals and activities for our teams to do so everyone feels good. Casual Friday. We do it. Breakfast, last Friday of the month. They're all great. But while we're busy protecting ourselves from the hard things, the reality is the hard things give us great joy and show us who we are. So now I'm factoring in hard things. They can attest to it. How do we create this and run with it? It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. I work on the basis that we're a river, not a dam. You can read every book. We can write every fiction. But in reality, we have something extraordinary to give and to leave a mark on the land. And every team here today has the possibility to go home and start to design small rituals that help people know before whom they stand. And that is the most important part.